WWE has officially announced Evolution 2.0, and we're here to discuss a way too early prediction at their match card. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers, talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, as you said, a little bit way too early, over a month in advance here. So undoubtedly, we're going to be wrong. But you know what? This is the fun stuff. This is the chance where your mind gets to run. What fantasy booking can I come up with?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough, or at least it was tough when I was making mine, because it's like, well, not a ton of women's storylines happening in the WWE right now. And then we have a bunch of call-ups that are presumably happening. And we have like Money in the Bank coming up, which could shake up everything. So get the way too early match card predictions out of there. Let's do it by questions and stuff, though. Let's break it down into segments here instead of just barfing out a match card of what we believe. Let's get the big stuff out of the way. Immediately when Evolution 2.0 got announced, rumors were already circulating about who the hell could return. You immediately start thinking of the Trishes of the world, stuff like that. So do we think there's going to be any big-time returns, any big-time debuts at Evolution 2.0?
I feel like there kind of has to be. I feel like this is the spot to do them, that maybe a debut or two here. I have one. I have Asuka coming back. So Asuka reportedly was kind of somewhat ready-ish to come back, but we haven't really heard any rumblings or anything like that. So I'm thinking maybe an Asuka return. I'm thinking if you have a tag match, you also have maybe a lay cool type of thing, something like that. I think there's going to be, if there is a tag match on the card, you get an old school tag team, because realistically, you don't have any tag teams left. So you got to call somebody back.
Yeah, I agree. I lean into the boat of the tag team match, which we'll discuss later on, being where we kind of get a classical tag team. The Bella Twins are one of them. I'm going to go ahead and say, I mean, Nikki Bella and Brie Bella have discussed many times that they want to do a second run here in the WWE, and especially with those tag team titles. So like Evolution looks to be there. Mariah May, obviously it's rumored that she's been signed to WWE and should be doing something big ASAP. Maybe she's on NXT, but an Evolution 2.0 would be a great place for somebody like that to come back for. I do have Asuka on there as well. Always going to put out there, we'd love to see an AJ Lee return. I got to throw it out there. It wouldn't be a women's wrestling video without talking about us wanting an AJ Lee return, but I do expect a bunch of good stuff to happen at Evolution 2.0 in terms of returns and debuts. So good stuff there. We also are going to go through just title matches one by one, what we think they're going to do. I mean, you would assume that they would take the opportunity to defend all the women's titles that are rarely defended on PLEs at their Evolution card, but we also do have Triple H, who loves his stacked short cards, so we could run into some hitches there. But let's do non-title matches. What non-title matches do you see happening at Evolution 2.0?
Yeah, so I guess I have two on here. I've got Rhea Ripley involved in one. I have Rhea Ripley versus Jordan Grace. Ooh. So I have the two muscle mommies going head to head, basically, as the internet would say. Maybe not me, but the internet says it, The reports are that, we'll get to the U.S. title scene, which maybe Jordan Grace could somewhat be involved in. Rhea Ripley, is Rhea Ripley. So that's really more of just a fantasy booking. Hey, this would be really awesome. Who's the ultimate muscle mommy, I guess, is the whole shtick of the match. So sign me up for that. As soon as I thought about that, I was like, yep, I don't care about anything else. That's what I want.
I have Rhea Ripley in a match. She could be a part of one or two matches. I have her in a singles match. I did just throw out there Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vaquer. Get Stephanie on the Raw roster, which it could be as soon as Monday, tonight. She's in a match, so boom, you have her on there. What better way to shoot her into the star-studded main title scene almost than fighting Rhea Ripley, right? That would just put her right there with everybody else. But I also have Rhea Ripley being involved in if she can't find a solo opponent, which I think they'll give her. I think we're going to get some sort of battle royale. It's just a good way to get a bunch of the women in there. Do I know what they'd be fighting for? I don't know. You get yourself an Andre the Giant, battle royale trophy of some sort, and you call it something. I don't know. But it feels like it'd be a good way to just get a ton of the women on there, especially with the Triple H cards and how he likes to only have like 4 matches. So a battle royale would kind of just like check mark a lot of women off.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because the last thing I put on here was women's battle royale, question mark. Yep. Kind of the same thing. So I said winner gets a title shot.
That'd be awesome.
Of some sort. Originally, my thought was have it strictly be like kind of NXT and have like a call up, but with the immediate call ups that kind of just happened, plus you kind of want to feature some of the Raw and the SmackDown people. So you're like, well, how do they kind of really fit in? Plus you could have returning superstars like we kind of mentioned a little bit.
Exactly.
So I just said winner gets a title shot for whatever brand they're on. So an NXT or a SmackDown or a Raw.
Yeah, and I think that'd be awesome because I'm with you. I think it's better for the returns and debuts and stuff if you have this Battle Royale, Royal Rumble-esque feel because they don't have to do too much. We see it in the Royal Rumble every single year. So you can throw in returning superstars and just get their hi, I'm here moment, do something cool and leave.
And they had one in the original.
Did they?
The very first one.
Yeah, I probably should have looked.
2018. They had, I believe Nia Jax won that. For the title.
Yeah, she could probably win it again. I don't care. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the one other match that I do have here, which is probably 50-50 at this point, but they have sort of hinted at it a few times. I would love to see Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair here. Depending on who wins the Money in the Bank, Naomi's obviously in that, and she is my favorite at the moment, which would kind of take her away from the Jade scene for a little bit. Get Jade doing something huge. Jade Cargill, Charlotte Flair, that would be an all-time good match.
I mean, yeah, that would be fun. I have both of them kind of in something else, so you hit at something huge. So we'll get to that later.
Let's get to the title scenes. Let's start with the most title scene right now, the U.S. title scene. Zelina Vega. Who is Zelina Vega, if she's still champion, going to be facing at Evolution?
Yeah, I would assume she would still be champion.
Yeah, me too.
I have a really high expectations for this Evolution. I feel like we're going to kind of set like a new reign, a new regime of like, hey, this is women's wrestling. They obviously did it the first time, so they're going to kind of reestablish that. Just in the 7 years since they had the last one, it's elevated so much. So I've got Zelina versus Julia. Those are obviously the reports right now. Plus, I love Julia. I think that would be fantastic. You could have her feud with some superstars that just came up. Plus, the SmackDown women's scene is huge. So I have her versus Julia. Nothing really to kind of write home about in terms of the build. I think you're just going to continue to build Julia as this badass that they had a promo kind of like on SmackDown this past week. And I think she takes the title off Zelina here.
You see, I have that too. I have Zelina versus Julia. My hopes would be Julia walks into this as champion. Like legit between now and Evolution, because we have like a little over a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Man, strip it off her even before then. Have Julia be champ. Have this be the blow off match so that after Evolution, we can just have Julia with the title, done with Zelina, and move on to bigger and better things like a Jordan Grace. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Or back to Chelsea. I don't know, but get the title off Zelina ASAP. Get it to Julia. That's a no-brainer, man.
Yeah, I feel like a Jordan Grace, Julia stuff would be phenomenal, would be fantastic. You could really highlight the women's mid-card scene here. There's a chance to really highlight some of these newcomers for the roster. So hopefully if they do it right, that's what happens.
100%. We'll move it on, though, to the more interesting side, in my opinion. Intercontinental title currently is sitting around the waist of Lyra Valkyria, but she does have a Money in the Bank match against Becky Lynch, who made it more interesting on Raw when she said if she loses, she doesn't get the challenge again for Lyra's belt. So, predictions will be up later this week for that sort of stuff. But what do we got Lyra or Becky doing at Evolution with the IC title?
Well, I've got them facing each other.
Again?
But in a triple threat match. So I've got Becky and Lyra and Bayley. I think this just kind of writes itself. It just makes a whole lot of sense here. So I guess maybe I'm kind of hinting at my Money in the Bank predictions a little too early here, but I don't care. This is something I want to see. Becky versus Lyra has been phenomenal. That in-ring stuff has been great. Bayley looks like she's ready to go. She's ready to return. So I expect that to happen. And I feel like you have to have a couple, well, I guess all three of the horsewomen that are on, kind of started the revolution, right? You got to have them on Evolution. So what better way than to have that?
I completely agree. That's why I have a triple threat match. I have Becky, I have Bayley, and I have Lyra. Obviously, for this to come true, you need to have Becky walk in as the title holder. So I do have that, which, like you said, probably gives away some of the Money in the Bank predictions for later this week, but it is what it is. I think it writes itself. Hopefully, Bayley comes in as a, where she somehow, some way, everybody's mad at each other. Like, I kind of don't want Lyra and Bayley walking into this match being friends and you kind of got like the 2-on-1 stuff going on. I'd rather just be a triple threat blood feud between three of them. I think it'd be awesome, but this match seems like it needs to happen at Evolution with everything that's been going on lately. So we'll move it on though to the tag team championships. This one's difficult because there isn't such thing as a women's tag team division on Raw and SmackDown, a little bit on NXT, but nothing on Raw and SmackDown, really. You really haven't even seen Liv and Raquel be in any matches in the past couple months. So who are Liv and Raquel going to go up against at Evolution for their tag team championships?
Yeah, this is maybe the toughest one for me. I also put originally NA at the first because I was like, who knows if they
Question
even have?
mark.
Yeah, who knows if they even have them on here, right? So, a couple different routes you could go. We talked about the nostalgia route with the Bellas or a Lay Cool or a Trish and Lita, maybe something like that, right? But if you're gonna go from current roster, I got Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So I know we kind of hinted at that a little bit of a team up, and Alexa's like, oh, well, you have no friends, Charlotte, and that sort of stuff. There just seems to be some interactions here and there that you're like, well, why would they do that if they're not going to team up at one point? Or Charlotte kind of gives in. Plus, realistically, I didn't really have anywhere for Charlotte to kind of go into this on this card, which is crazy to say. So I have them teaming up versus Liv and Raquel here.
I have this being a legacy match. What I mean by that is they're going to fight some returning, past legends. I think the Bella Twins, they could easily fit into this gap. You have Liv and Raquel taking on the Bella Twins. You could easily have something like a Lita and Trish coming back doing it. LaCool, like you said, something like that. If I do have to pick someone from like current day roster, if we get an Asuka return, you could do Asuka and Kairi Sane, throw them back in there. That would be a phenomenal match at the Kabuki Warriors taking on Liv and Raquel. But at the current moment, I really don't even expect them to have a tag match. Maybe you do get Liv doing some sort of single stuff or whatever Judgment Day stuff is happening right here. You could lead into a Liv versus Roxanne, which I would take that as well. But it feels like if you want to make these tag titles seem relevant at all, they got to start getting on it. So Evolution, you feel like you got to have a tag team championship match.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Women's wrestling has evolved to where there was tag team titles, so it would kind of make sense for the titles to be there, which is exactly why they probably won't be, in all honesty. Yeah, and I could also see, like we talked about the Battle Royal, I could see all of those women that we just mentioned kind of grouped into a Battle Royal of some sort.
Yeah. God, they need to have the belt. If your tag team titles don't make it onto Evolution, a show dedicated to women's wrestling, like, hang it up.
Yeah, don't have them.
Yeah, just hang it up. Send them to NXT or something. The big ones, though, we got two main championships, Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky. They're pretty good at their jobs, but they don't really have any feuds going on at the moment, going into Evolution, I guess, and Money in the Bank. They really have nothing. They're going to have to just feud with whoever has the Money in the Bank afterward. I don't know. Let's start with Tiffany, though. What's Tiffany Stratton going to be doing at Evolution? Who is she going to defend against?
Yeah, so you talked about big things for this person earlier with your stuff. So I got Tiffany versus Jade here. I know they've hinted at it time and time again a little bit. There's been a lot of interaction. So I've got Tiffany versus Jade here. I'm going to go out and say it. I think they're going to get the cash in probably at Evolution. If that is the match that we get in terms of Tiffany versus Jade, I think Naomi, spoiler alert, gets some sort of cash in as well here. I think Evolution, like I said, I expect them to kind of like blow the roof off the place, and I just want all the things. So maybe that's over expectations in my mind. Maybe my expectations are a little too high, but that match is going to be phenomenal. They've already, like I said, hinted at it multiple times. So just give me Tiffany versus Jade here.
That just convinced me that I want that match. I didn't think that far through, but yeah, Jade versus Tiffany with a Naomi who just won the Money in the Bank cash in at Evolution, probably to end the show, would be absolutely spectacular. Book that for me 100%. What I had written down was Tiffany Stratton, Alexa Bliss. That might spoil my Money in the Bank pick too. But I think that Alexa Bliss has had some decent interactions with Tiffany lately. She came out and interrupted the promo on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. Then last week of SmackDown, she told Tiffany that she's got to worry about her, not anybody else. So there's been a lot of Alexa Bliss surrounding Tiffany Stratton lately. Alexa Bliss, obviously, huge pop, very over since Royal Rumble, but really hasn't done anything. Shoot her into the main title scene again. I think that'd be another big challenge for Tiffany on a mic. So it would just work all the way around for me.
Yeah, and as I'm sitting here thinking about this, thinking about the potential cash in as well. Another tag team. I'm going to go backwards here. Naomi and Bianca Belair.
Oh,
maybe have them be a tag team. If maybe things go according to plan in my mind, which is, like I said, probably wrong. Maybe you throw that together. Maybe that's your tag team that challenges them.
Man.
Because you got to have Bianca on the card somewhere.
Yeah, she could win that Battle Royale. We say, I don't know.
We're banging on this Battle Royale.
That Battle Royale is just going to casually have Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair and Nia Jax,
Charlotte,
Jade Cargill, Charlotte. Most stacked Battle Royale. I'm surprised it's not a Saudi. Greatest Battle Royale ever. Going to the last one, though. Io Sky, your women's world heavyweight champion on Raw. Obviously, she did the impossible WrestleMania, defeated Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, which was probably the match of the 2 nights. It was absolutely phenomenal. But again, same situation here as Tiffany. kind of not much sense. Not a lot of stories surrounding her and somebody else at the moment. So we have a month to build up. Who is the Io Sky going to take on at Evolution 2.0?
Yeah, they kind of, I feel like, have dropped the ball here. Like you said, that Mania match was either 1 or 2, depending. It's either the women's triple threat or it's the men's triple threat for the cinema, one of those. And then Io's done a whole lot of nothing. She hasn't really been involved in anything. I feel like this answer's pretty straightforward. I feel like it's pretty obvious. I feel like it's going to make you happy. I got her versus Stephanie. They've kind of hinted at it. Those are the reports. So go ahead, sign me up. Do a best of 7, do a best of 12, do a best of 15. I don't care. Just give it to me as many times as you possibly can. That should be the match here. Nothing else really kind of makes sense in my mind. She's kind of already gone through everybody. You could maybe argue a Liv Morgan potentially because her and Liv have interacted from time to time, but Liv still has those tag titles, so that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't expect them to have her as double champ. So give me Io versus Stephanie.
100%. Give me Io versus Stephanie. 100%. That's what I want. I think that the second that Stephanie Vaquer got announced that she was coming to Raw, I literally looked at the camera and was like, book her against Io. She doesn't need to beat Io. It doesn't need to be that. What it's going to be is a 5-star wrestling match in which after the bell rings, when Io wins and remains champion, they shake each other's hands. On the next night on Raw, you're like, Stephanie Vaquer is one of the top women. She's top 5 in all the WWE main card women roster, right? Immediately. That's exactly what you should do here. We know that Io Sky is probably not going to drop the belt no matter what, no matter who she faces. So why not take one of the biggest up-and-coming stars who is already extremely over for being somebody that's only been seen in NXT, really, and put her in this type of moment, let her shine on Evolution 2.0, and then you just strap the rockets to her boots and let her go after that. So
yeah, and obviously she's had some matches on Raw, and the reception was great. The reception was fantastic. People seem to really take to her and really enjoy her being here. So yeah, it's just going to elevate her in that next level, and it's something that the Raw women's side kind of needs right now because you kind of have Io, you got Rhea, you got Liv who's coming back, but then it's like a whole lot of nothing really after that. So exactly, I agree. Strap the rockets to her, have her go to the moon. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, that's probably going to be a match of the night.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. In my opinion, yeah, 100%.
5-star easy. I mean,
if you play your cards right tonight, you could be walking out of Evolution 2.0 with some like permanent returns, like the Bella Twins, which people hate on them, but they could at least give a little bit of life to the tag team division, at least demand a tag division to be formed for the women in the WWE. You at least have to give them opponents, right? You could be walking out with the Julia, brand new person to the main roster who can now take the U.S. title to new heights there. You could have Stephanie Vaquer built to the point where you could then run whenever world championship match again down the line and have her win the dang thing. So you can really build a lot of stars here at Evolution 2.0 and really get some people back that'll just carry this women's division. And then you just got to hope that Papa H and WWE know what the hell to do with them, because at the moment it feels like women's wrestling storylines are a little bit on the back burner, right?
Yeah,
so
they're either non-existent or they're there and they don't really make a whole lot of sense. Yeah. So no Chelsea Green here unless she's in the
Battle Royale.
You think so?
Yeah, she'll.
I think now the more that we talked about it, Battle Royale is 100% happy.
Yeah, book it. You have to. You have to. And she's going to get eliminated in 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So either walk in there and Piper's going to do something, she's going to get eliminated. Yeah, so that is what it is. But that's our Evolution 2.0 way too early match card predictions. Let us know in the comments what you guys think or want to see happen at Evolution, because we got ourselves about a month building up there. So let us know. And of course, come to our live streams for Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs, including Money in the Bank this weekend. So please be there for that. It's youtube.com/COD WrestlePod. And then for everything else for our channel, it's at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. We have a link tree in our bio. It's got absolutely everything there. Go follow all of our socials because we're confident that you guys would love this type of wrestling content. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.